your news in your community. This is KRBC, Abilene's local news at 10.
Well, tonight KRBC is celebrating 65 years on the air. Good evening. I'm Kathleen Barkley.
Thank you for joining us on this special day for the KRBC team. I'm David Bacon. You can see our balloons on the set celebrating this long-standing legacy.
And tonight we carry on the tradition of bringing you all of Abilene's local news. With that, let's get straight to a developing story tonight.
The Breckenridge Police Department right now opening an investigation on North Front Street just after about 3 o'clock this afternoon. When police arrived on scene, they found 2 people deceased.
Now, according to the chief of police in Breckenridge, a search for a suspect began just over an hour later. The suspect was located and taken into custody by a Stevens County deputy. The Texas Rangers have taken control of that investigation. Keep up with the latest on this case on the BCH To Go mobile app.
Next, we go to new details released today. The Texas Department of Public Safety confirming wet roads caused a collision, killing the mayor of Tuscola and his wife.
KRBC's Catherine Garcia is in Tuscola, continuing our coverage on the impact left behind by the couple.
As I've spoken to several people here in Tuscola, the thing I've heard most is that Mayor Robert Elkins was not only an exceptional city leader, but he and his wife Vondine Elkins were extremely warm and kind people devoted to this community.
He was like another father to me.
The mayor knew and cared for everyone in town, says Pro Tem Mayor and good friend of Robert Elkins, Sam Staniland.
Robert always would ask me to come see him, and we could just go sit on his back porch and shell pecans and share a beverage and sit around and talk. He was a rock that I could always count on.
Saying because of Robert's work, the town of Tuscola has seen unprecedented prosperity.
He was always there for anybody who needed anything, and he always gave his time and efforts in multiple ways, and had a great vision for this community.
Mayor Elkins had a long history with the Texas Department of Transportation, working on major projects in the Big Country. Officials say his experience with TxDOT led to a better town infrastructure, one of many aspects Elkins urged to make Tuscola a better place to live. TxDOT giving this statement in part, quote, Robert Elkins was a valued member of the TxDOT family for over 36 years, and his contributions in the Waldrop Exchange Project and many others permanently changed the way Texans travel through the district. Vondine Elkins also an integral part of the community, working at a local bank for several years. The duo always making sure Tuscola came first.
They were always there for anybody who needed anything. They served this community for over 50 years in various ways, through city council, through water board, through supporting this fire department in various other ways. They're going to be sorely missed.
In Tuscola, Catherine Garcia, KRBC, Abilene's local news.
Thank you, Catherine. You can find the entire statement given by TxDOT at BigCountryHomepage.com. Now let's go over to Dylan for our first check of the forecast.
Thanks, David. We are looking at that low pressure continuing to leave us behind, as well introducing high pressure and that low pressure system over near Florida, giving them severe storms for today. So it's been a pretty interesting day for them. Not so much for us, though, as we head into the overnight hours tonight. Skies will stay clear like we're seeing right now. Again, heading into the evening hours overnight tonight, we are looking at a very cold night ahead. Lower 30s out there tomorrow morning as you get out the door. The good news is winds stay calm. Sun will be out all day. Temperatures get back up to the low to mid 60s. Guys?
All right, thank you very much, Dylan. Now to a KRBC update. A pedestrian hit by a car this morning in South Abilene. We've learned the victim is out of surgery and is in stable condition at this time. Abilene police telling KRBC a 30-year-old driver was on his way to work just after 5 o'clock this morning when he hit the pedestrian at the intersection of South San Jose Drive and Waldemar Street. As we learn more about this case, you will too.
Another update for you tonight. After 7 months with no answers, the family of Jeannie Quinn has increased the reward for information that could help solve her case. The 20-year-old woman went missing from Levelland in April. Quinn's body found in a vacant lot in Abilene. No arrests have been made so far in that case. Now the family of Jeannie Quinn offering more than $11,000 for information to help solve her murder. Now, if you do have any information on this case, call the Abilene Police Department at that number there on your screen. A special tip line has been when set up. That number 325-673-8331. All tips will remain anonymous.
Beginning tonight, the Abilene Police Department will be stepping up efforts to keep drunk drivers off the streets through the holidays. Officers will be on dedicated patrols looking for impaired drivers. Drivers have alternatives to driving while intoxicated. They can call a cab, ask a friend or a family member for a ride, hand their keys to a designated driver, or simply stay put and sober up. Police remind you that drunk driving is a serious crime and 100% preventable.
Well, could Beto O'Rourke become the hot new buzz name for Democrats in the 2020 presidential race?
A new poll gives some clues as to what the future might hold for this Texas congressman. Tom Foreman has our political news.
He lost the battle for a Senate seat, but Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke is rising in the Democratic war for the White House. A new CNN poll shows former Vice President Joe Biden atop the list of possible contenders for the party's nomination, then Senator Bernie Sanders, but O'Rourke has vaulted into the number 3 slot.
We want all of us, Republicans and Democrats, independents alike, to come together and do something great for this country.
Relatively unknown outside of Texas, O'Rourke nonetheless ignited a passionate following when he challenged Republican Senator Ted Cruz.
This is why people don't like Washington, D.C. You just said something that I did not say. And
what did you not say?
Attributed it to me.
What did you not say?
I'm not going to repeat. I'm not going to repeat the slander and the mischaracterization. I'm not going to repeat the slander.
You're not going to say what you did say?
No, this is your trick in the trade, to confuse and to incite based on fear and not to speak the truth.
Do you foresee yourself one day running for the President of the United States?
Asked about a presidential run before the Senate vote in Texas, he was clear.
The answer is no.
Is that a definitive no?
It's a definitive no. I will not be a candidate for president in 2020.
But soon after he narrowly lost to Cruz, the O'Rourke family was repositioning.
Amy and I made a decision not to rule anything out and just to be open.
Then O'Rourke had a private meeting with former President Barack Obama, and when a cheering crowd asked him again today about whether he has designs on the presidency, his no came with a twist. All of that, along with his ability to fire up Democratic voters and raise massive sums of money, has many in the party taking note.
We're going to be fiercely focused on the future, and we're going to do this together.
After all, they remember the last time a candidate with an unusual name, an outsider's message, and seemingly little chance of winning came along.
Well, next we go to an incredible story circulating on social media. Taylor County medical crews making headlines this evening after helping a college student through Thursday's winter weather. The Texas Tech student heading home to San Antonio from Lubbock when he found himself stuck in snow near Maryneal. Tow companies were busy in navigating dangerous roads, telling his family it would be hours before they could go to assist him. After seeing a post on Facebook, Taylor County EMS employees, who are also volunteer firefighters, immediately went to work to bring this young man home using a high water truck from the Potosi Volunteer Fire Department to bring the student here to Abilene safely.
Another incredible story from a Big Country Volunteer Fire Department. Nolan volunteer firefighter Jeff Egger noticed a car on the side of Highway 153. He initially thought it was someone on their phone. As he passed by, he noticed it was an elderly woman. Knowing there is no cell phone reception in that area, Egger stopped to see if the woman needed help. That's when he found out that the woman was having a heart attack. He quickly drove until he had cell phone service to call 911. Doctors placed 6 stents to open up blocked arteries. Officials say his actions saved her life. Coming up on your local news, KRBC's Steffi Lee shows us how the special meaning behind organ donations for one Texas family.
And we've got another look at that weekend forecast coming up right after the break.
This is KRBC Abilene's local news at 10 with Kathleen Barkley, David Bacon, and Chief Meteorologist Dylan Smith. Now, your KRBC Storm Team. Now, your KRBC Storm Team forecast with Chief Meteorologist Dylan Smith.
It was a long week. I'm sure it was definitely a long week for me, maybe for you. We had a nice first half of the week, then Thursday, Friday, things got a little bit interesting. However, high pressure, which means more stable atmospheres, will continue to take the reins heading into this weekend. So be ready for an absolutely gorgeous weekend. That's probably not something you thought I'd say. We have actually right at a week left of fall. Winter starts December 21st, today's the 14th. So again, expect more of that cold air eventually, just not tomorrow, at least not tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow morning will be pretty cold though. Winds are also finally calmed down, and that will last for several days before we even start to see a remote breeze pick back up, and then heading into the weekend as well. Some clouds by Sunday, but tomorrow mostly sun. It's going to be a beautiful forecast for the next few days. So let's get into it, show you what we're looking at over in Florida. Actually, that same low pressure system that brought us our snowy weather, at least at times, is giving that parts of Florida some of that severe weather as well. Not snowy weather though. Behind that cold front, behind that low pressure system, we're also seeing clear skies. And you take a bit of a closer look, again backing that up, absolutely clear skies. The sunset tonight was absolutely gorgeous as well, and we'll continue to see that thanks to high pressure. That big old ridge right there, that will move in over the weekend. The low pressure finally making its way to the eastern half of the states. As we move into the weekend though, we are looking at another high pressure starting to come back in, a rather weak one though, not overly strong. Those two will essentially merge heading into the weekend and early next week. And then by Tuesday, another low pressure, pretty deep trough there. That will again bring more clouds, not necessarily rain chances, but we could see a couple of showers on Tuesday. And aside from that, nothing really else crazy happening. And behind that low pressure system, another high pressure. So it's a balance of low and high pressures. And again, it's been a beautiful evening so far. Temperatures are starting to drop though, and rain chances are still in the forecast, just not like what we saw the past couple of days. So that is some good news there. We are up and already above our typical December rainfall totals. That will raise our yearly totals well above average. I believe we were almost 8 inches above our typical yearly average already, so that'll raise that up even more. And again, winds already very calm, will continue to stay pretty calm through the entire weekend, heading even into next week. However, by Tuesday, starting to see a little bit of that breeze as that low pressure starts to get a little bit closer closer, but nowhere near as gusty as the past few days were. So that is some good news there. Tomorrow morning will be very cold. A lot of us down around freezing, so standing water could freeze as we head into the overnight hours, but there's really not much left, just a couple of puddles and some on the sides of the roads and ditches. So just be aware of that tomorrow by lunchtime, back to the mid-50s, and tomorrow afternoon we'll be seeing those low to mid-60s again. A beautiful day tomorrow, plenty of sunshine, and those winds have calmed down for everybody. It's been a while since we've seen less than 10 miles an hour for almost everybody as well. Out of the north still, that will shift kind of to the west and south tonight, but to expect again a very cold night thanks to those calming winds, clear skies. We could be seeing again upper to mid-20s out there, lower 30s likely for a lot of the big country. Tomorrow afternoon, a very cold morning again, but mostly sunny as we head back for those low to mid-60s. A gorgeous day to cap off the week as we head into Sunday even. Actually a weak cold front coming through. That one is going to cool us off for Monday, but not by much. It will just drop our afternoon highs by about 5 to 10 degrees, and that will set us up for a very consistent week ahead thanks to mostly high pressure dominating our weather pattern.
Well, after the inconsistency we had the last couple of days, that forecast looks really nice for next week.
I am looking forward to it to close out fall.
Crazy weather for a week before Christmas.
Yeah, and unfortunately not looking super possible for a white Christmas this year.
Oh, well, I think we had enough yesterday. We did okay. All right, up next on KRBC News, the Dallas Cowboys could clinch the NFC East with a win against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. Mickey Spagnola has an injury report before the game coming up next in sports.
This is BigCountryHomepage.com Sports with David Robinette.
We start with college football. The
This is BigCountryHomepage.com Sports with David Robinette.
We start with college football. The Mary Hardin Baylor Crusaders back in the national championship game in Division III football for the third year in a row. The Crew taking on defending national champion Mount Union. First quarter, the Purple Raiders of Mount Union take the lead. D'Angelo Fulford dives in for the score. Mount Union takes a 10-0 lead, but here comes Mary Hardin-Baylor. They're going to cut into the lead here. Former McMurray and ASU quarterback Jace Hammock deep to TJ Josie. Great catch and touchdown, 10-7 Mount Union. 13-7 Mary Hardin-Baylor now, and then the Crusaders take the lead. Markeith Miller scores by diving over the pile. 14-13 UMHB at the break and moved to the fourth. 17-13 Crew. Hammock finds a wide open KJ Miller. 24-13 at that point. Mary Hardin-Baylor goes on to win it by the final score of 24-16. The Crew win their second national championship in 3 years. All right, now to the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys head to Indianapolis on Sunday to take on the Colts. The Cowboys are riding a 5-game winning streak, and some are crediting the streak to some of the clothing Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott are wearing. Yeah, it's weird. Here's Mickey Spagnola.
Well, on this Friday, I've got good news and bad news on the injury front for the Dallas Cowboys going into Sunday's game against the Indianapolis Colts. The bad news first. Cowboys starting guard Zach Martin, who hasn't practiced all week, already has been ruled out for the game. That means rookie Connor Williams, who had been starting at left guard before he suffered an injury, will now be starting at right guard, which also means 3/5 of the Cowboys' offensive line that they had counted on to start the season is no longer in place. Now, the good news is Sean Lee, who's been limited all week in practice after missing the last 5 games, has been listed as questionable, and my understanding is he has a good chance of playing on a limited basis. So that certainly would help out the depth on the Cowboys linebacker core, but they still plan on starting Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch. And on a side note, you know those long white sleeves that Dak Prescott's been wearing under his uniform these last few weeks? Well, that is a uniform fine. He's going to keep wearing them, but he says it costs him $13,000 a game. And for the Silver Star Nation, I'm Mickey Spagnola here at the Star.
That's the sports. Let's go back to the desk.
Coming up, a startling report today about what might have been in a baby powder for decades and how women might have been affected.
That story and more news still ahead. Stay with us on KRBC.
You're watching KRBC, Abilene. You're watching KRBC, Abilene's local news.
Thank you for staying with us here on KRBC. Hardin-Simmons University's Physician Assistance Program is one of 8 in the entire state of Texas. But the prestigious program has something special that sets it apart from the rest.
That's right. Dr. Norton is an assistant professor for that program. Now, she's already putting her students ahead of the game, as she's the only practicing surgeon in the state of Texas to teach lead dissection anatomy, giving these first-year PA students at least one thing to be thankful for as they go through their finals week.
You have somebody teaching them the anatomy that's experiencing the clinical side of it as well, so you can kind of make it a little bit more meaningful to them as they try to learn.
Now, with 2 years of teaching under her belt, the Abilene General Surgeon hopes the ever-changing industry will continue to pique their interest as it does hers.
Right now, there are nearly 10,000 Texans waiting for an organ donation. That's according to the Texas Organ Sharing Alliance.
KRBC's Steffi Lee shows us the power of the gift of life in tonight's Texas Report.
For Destiny LeHue Collins and Desiree Martinez to meet for the first time is destiny. Desiree's son, Jeremiah, died in a rope swing accident. 3 years ago, Destiny received his liver through a transplant.
My baby's just deep asleep, an angel.
I don't have the words to speak to how powerful that is, as young as he was.
Both families today got a look at how his liver is working.
Now I'm back to working out all the time and working full time and got my life back.
And Destiny got to meet Jeremiah's extended family as well.
So glad that somewhere he's here on earth. I miss him so much.
Remembering how Jeremiah died is still painful.
Lately, I've been getting all kinds of signs from him.
But his family says knowing his gift changed Destiny's life and this meeting could happen is a positive sign.
So I guess he's telling me he's okay.
The Texas Organ Sharing Alliance says people can sign up to become an organ donor at donatelifetexas.org.
Well, one stock that took a big hit today, Johnson & Johnson, after a news report claiming the company knew for decades that its baby powder sometimes contained small amounts of asbestos.
The company is fighting lawsuits from thousands of people alleging it caused their cancer. Ann Thompson has more in this Consumer Watch.
Juries across the country have returned mixed verdicts on whether Johnson & Johnson's talcum-based baby powder and shower-to-shower products caused ovarian cancer and mesothelioma. Gail Ingham, one of 22 women awarded a total of nearly $5 billion this summer.
I hope no woman has to go through this.
Other cases have been rejected. Now a bombshell report from Reuters says company documents show J&J knew from at least 1971 to the early 2000s that its raw talc and finished powders sometimes tested positive for small amounts of asbestos and failed to disclose it.
These records make it clear that many people inside J&J were aware that asbestos, a known carcinogen, was detected in the ore they mined, in the talc they milled, and on occasion in the products they sold.
Tonight, J&J blasts the report as one-sided, false, and inflammatory, insisting its baby powder is safe and asbestos-free, and that thousands of independent tests by regulators and the world's leading labs prove our baby powder has never contained asbestos. Not enough to keep the stock from plunging 10% today. And the American Cancer Society editing its position, no longer saying all talcum products have been asbestos-free since the 1970s, now advising those products should be free from detectable amounts of asbestos.
And it's Friday night and the weekend's upon us. I'll have a check of that forecast coming up next.
But first, here's what you can catch on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
Hey guys, Armie Hammer is my guest tonight. All new show. Plus we have Mark Ronson, standing from Pete Lee, and thank you notes. It's a great show. Stay tuned.
As we head into the weekend, get ready for some calm winds.
Hey.
Finally. I know. I got blown around a bit. I know driving north was a pain over the last couple days.
Yes.
The winds are finally calm out there, and they'll stay that way for a few days at least. So there's some good news there. As we head into the weekend, temperatures are also on the up and up as well. So kind of the opposite of the winds. That's some good news. Tomorrow morning will be rather cold, so make sure you take a jacket with you if you're heading out this evening or tomorrow morning, as temperatures will drop a little bit by Monday, but after that you can see upper 50s, lower 60s for the next 7 days, except for Monday, with the light rain chance coming through on Tuesday.
All right, very consistent.
Yes.
I like that after the wild ride we had on
Seriously.
Thursday
It
and
is
Friday.
going to be nice, that's for
Consistency,
sure.
we need it right now. All right,
Yes.
thanks, Dylan. Well, before we leave you tonight, earlier today in this very studio here was a celebration for KRBC. Our station has been on the air for 65 years.
KRBC, the first television station in Abilene, and one of its first programs was a local newscast. So our tradition of broadcasting Abilene's local news was established from the very beginning. Mayor Anthony Williams and members of the Redcoats from the Chamber of Commerce were here this morning. It was a great time as we reflected on the history of KRBC
Yes,
TV.
and of course, proud to be part of that legacy, and that Texas flag you saw actually flew over the Texas state capitol in honor of KRBC, so great accomplishment for us here.
And
here's to many more.
Yeah,
Yes.
Stan Lambert got that arranged.
Yes, that's awesome. Well, that does it here for your local news at 10. We'll see you back here again on Monday.
Good night, and thank you for trusting KRBC.